Good morning. So today I want to talk about a couple of things. One is about frustration and a practice that I've developed over the last 30 years around frustration. And the other is around oneness and knowing that I've developed very recently and over the years about being one with all creation, and how that's just really given me a sense of peace and power in my life, and I hope can help you do the same. So again, this talk is about how to deal with frustration, what it is and what it means, and then how to find a deeper sense of oneness and how that can really help you just with peace and power in your life. Again, all these talks are for earth lovers. All these talks are slow. They're not dopamine triggers. I'm not going to give you any flashing lights, blah, because that is really bad for us. I encourage you to sit through the breaths and the pauses that I do. Let's do one right now. Because true wisdom comes from stillness, comes from facing the void, facing the emptiness, which is extremely lacking in Western culture. We don't get it. We miss the power of stillness. And it seems like in a lot of ways the culture is going in the wrong direction, away from stillness and wisdom, the wisdom of emptiness. Okay, so this talk about frustration and oneness. So which one should we start with? I wish I was having a literal conversation with you. I could ask you, which one should I start with? And I'm gonna guess that you might want to start with oneness, maybe frustration. I think I'm gonna start with frustration because that's the easier one to talk about. When you're frustrated, so there's a couple of things going on. So sometimes when you're frustrated, your nervous system is just like fried. It's just kicking on all cylinders, and that's one source of frustration. And you just need to slow down and start over. Well, that's the key. I just got a little distracted. My wife was behind me and I didn't realize she was behind me. I'm gonna let her pass. Okay, so again, pause, slow. You don't need constant stimulation. That's one of the things I want to keep repeating. We're addicted to constant stimulation. So frustration. So one of the things frustration indicates is that your nervous system may be overcharged. Another thing it might indicate is that you're simply in new territory. You're in territory that's unfamiliar to you. And that you're, just learning something new. Now, what I've noticed through all my years in the construction trades primarily is how different people approach frustration and how I used to approach frustration. So I'll notice that there's a lot of people out there, and you may be one of them, maybe not, where when frustration happens, you're like, God damn it, and you get all super angry and like frustrated, or, like that whole thing. And here's what I'm going to say. This is going to be really hard for those of you that do that to digest. That is a defense mechanism, and it's actually counterproductive. What it does is it shuts off inquiry. So it's kind of a lazy man's way out, a lazy thinker's way out of actually dealing with the problem that you're facing. So when we go to that sort of angry, like, place around frustration, what we're doing is we're not able to engage the thinking part of our mind, and we're going to this amygdala, like emotional reaction state. So yesterday's talk there was a lot about reactivity, and so I'm just going to keep coming back to, you want to keep developing this non-reactive state of being. So the non-reactive state of being is where all wisdom and proactive action comes from. So to get in that non-reactive state, well, the first thing is to notice when you get angry, when you feel that frustration boiling up inside of you, that's the trigger sign. So this is the tweak that I recommend that you do, is you see frustration as a gift. So when the frustration boils up in you, it's not something to be like, oh man, I wish I wasn't so frustrated. Why is this happening? It's telling you a couple of things. It's not telling you that the problem that you're facing is a problem. It is, but more importantly, what it's telling you is, A, your nervous system is overcharged and needs to be brought down. So maybe you need to stop. I'm on my private road, so don't worry, I'm driving safe. And just release. Maybe that's what you need. To just slow down. Maybe you're actually approaching the problem from a dysfunctional angle. I can't tell you how many times I was working in the trades and I would notice somebody who would hit the same problem in the same way and then get super frustrated. And so I guess that's the point I want to drive home about frustration. When you do like, rah, because you're frustrated, that rah shuts down your thinking part of your brain, and then you don't have to actually slow down, back up, and think about what you're doing and try a new creative solution to it, or ask for help or something like that. So when you do that strong emotional reaction, when you feel frustration, you shut down the creative solution process. So you want to so the way to approach it is to start practicing. When you feel it well up inside of you, that's the signal. Do I need to just slow down? In every case, you should just slow down and take a breath. Slow down and take a breath. Walk away if you need to. Get back into your calm, centered mind, and then look at it from a different angle. Now, I've gotten to a stage where I don't need to walk away so much anymore. I can just stop, breathe, and then look at the problem. And what I used to tell people is sometimes just literally like moving yourself and looking at it from over here. And even if it's a simple thing and that seems silly to do, looking at it from over here, flip it upside down. Just looking at stuff from a different angle sort of pulls you out of that reactive, it's like linear thinking idea. So it's just like, I'm just gonna hit this harder and it's gonna break, it's gonna fix, and it doesn't work that way. You just break things. You just keep breaking things, including yourself. Okay, I'm gonna start driving again. Take the breath, take the breaks, take the breaths. Again, the theme I want to keep hammering home is empty it out. Relax and empty it out. Hey guys! So frustration is a gift. Now, if you're frustrated, if you're actually on the cutting edge of anything, you're gonna live in frustration. You're gonna have a lot of frustration. And so you get that frustration and you use that as a cue to pause, breathe, walk away if you need to, but look at it from different angles. Look at it from far away. Talk to somebody about it. It's a moment to reassess. That's what it is. So it's so simple, but so hard for people to learn. I can't tell you how many times I try to teach this to people in my life and they just won't listen because it fundamentally confronts the way that you think. So you have to actually have enough emotional courage to say, like, wait a minute, I'm gonna stop the way I'm doing this, and I'm going to admit that I don't know how to solve this problem. You have to admit that you're not up to the task at the moment, and you have to reassess and come back with a new mindset. That's so hard for us. I mean, it's really not that hard, but when you're sort of stuck in your stress mind and your stress body, it's very difficult. So that's why you need to breathe, ground into your body, relax, and then look at it, literally look at it from a different angle, or talk to somebody else about it. Just come back to it. It's God, it's so simple, but it's so important. I guarantee you, if you take away this practice of just feel frustration, don't see it as a bad thing, see it as a cue to stop, breathe, and reassess. And the ways that you can reassess is by asking other people, walking away, taking a break, looking at it from different angles. Okay, now on to part 2. Little breath break. Breath breaks to develop our capacity to sit in emptiness. We're all afraid of the void. The more you make peace with the void, the more you develop superpowers inside of you. We need more spiritual warriors sitting in the void, sitting in the emptiness. So another way to think about that is to practice sitting in the void, sitting in the emptiness, is to practice letting go of all your ideas about the afterlife, reincarnation, whatever it is. Just practice contemplating total annihilation of your personality. Most people think in the afterlife or the reincarnation that they're going to carry their personality with them, and so that gives them a sense of comfort. But if you can confront, this is sort of advanced level. I didn't really intend to talk about this when I started this talk, but so this is a second practice, and this is a practice to sort of help you gain the power of entering into new states of consciousness. And to enter entering into new states of consciousness will give you an incredible creative power, problem solving power. So this is like a death meditation, but instead of death, you're meditating on the void. You're meditating on emptiness. So you don't even have to really think about death. Okay, I got a traffic thing going on here. What's happening? Road closed. Interesting. Okay. So the practice is when you don't even really have to think about death. All you have to do is in the moment, try to sit with emptiness. Try to let your thoughts go. Now your thoughts are going to come, depending on how charged up your nervous system is. But the more you can just sit and just let your thoughts go. And I am going to come back to this principle that I brought up yesterday, which is practice not thinking that your thoughts are so important. I've got to hold on to my thought stream or the world is going to unravel. Like, that's totally not true. It's an illusion. It's a fantasy. It's a neurotic habit. You just let go of the thoughts and realize that most of your thoughts are A, either not true, or B, not even that important. So even the ones that you really think are true and you really think are important, they're mostly not. And so that brings us to emotional courage. So the real thing that I need to get better at teaching you how to do is to find emotional courage, because that's what this all roots in. The more emotional courage that you have, the more you'll gain all these superpowers. You know, the only way I know to truly gain more emotional courage is to face identity annihilation kind of again and again. And you can do that with ayahuasca, and you can do that with Vipassana style 10-day meditation retreats with Essen Goenka, and you can do it alone in the wilderness, and you can do it in sweat lodge ceremonies, or you can do it with guided psilocybin ceremonies, and you can do it by challenging yourself, to climb Mount Everest, or you can do it to try to sail across the Pacific Ocean by yourself, or whatever it is. Those challenges that rock you to the core of what you think you are and what you think you're capable of. Every time you do that, you develop a deeper sense of emotional courage. And another thing that you can really do, like classes like Landmark Education, where they really encourage you to take responsibility for all the pain that you've caused other people in your life. If you really go out, or 12-step programs where you do your fourth step, I don't know if it's fourth step, but whatever the step is, where you make amends to people, where you actually get to that point where you actually call people up or write them a letter, as long as it doesn't hurt them, and you acknowledge the harm that you've called them. That will break up your current identity and start to bring up that emotional courage. So all of those things, pick the flavor that you like the most, but you got to do something to develop your emotional courage. So now on to the next practice, which can really help you. This is really only going to work for people who are not, maybe it'll work for all religions. I'm agnostic, earth-oriented, comparative religion based, so it's going to speak most to people who are in that camp. So there's this interesting idea in the sort of the atheist camps or the agnostic camps that somehow religion isn't important, or that somehow religion doesn't have purpose or meaning, and that's absolutely wrong. Religion is the shared story of the deeper psychic energies of humanity, clothed in a cultural narrative. So you have the Middle East narrative, you have the Indian narrative, you have the Eastern narrative in China and Japan and the other areas around there, and then you have the old Celtic narrative, you have the Native American narratives, you have all of those, and those are all based in a place, in an ecology, in a civilization. So each one of those narratives is a manifestation of the human condition, and say very similar things, but also distinct things based on their civilization and culture and environment. But each one has a power in and of itself. Okay, I'm gonna stop. They're doing tree work. So, what am I talking about? The oneness. Got a little distracted by the tree work. Try to focus here, Mike. So I want to stay on point here. How am I going to get you to the oneness? Okay, so that all was a preface to this idea that this conversation is going to be tailored to. It's more of a universal, agnostic, spiritual tradition based in a comparative religious study, honoring life and our life systems and our civilization, but also honoring our collective religious history. That's where I come from. So, but I don't believe in the literal interpretation of mythology. So that's what the Bible is. The Bible is it's a mythic history of the Middle East, which has a lot of civilization style and human guides. But it's just that it's a symbolic representation of the human condition from a particular location and time. So if you pull that out, but still see that there's wisdom in all these traditions, you'll see that there's an importance to prayer, for example. So I've been developing my own prayer system, which honors the science of today and the knowledge of today and the wisdoms of yesterday. So the way I pray after I do my morning meditation, I don't always do it, but I try to do a 10-minute meditation, a 10-minute breath work, 10 minutes strength and stretching, and then a I wrap up with my prayer. So in my prayer, I thank Mother Earth, Grandmother Ocean, Great-Grandmother Universe. Those are all totally scientifically consistent. And the origin and source, the beginning of all things, the beginning of the universe, or if it was a bounce, whatever the beginning was, whatever that energy and force is, or entity, it doesn't matter whether it's a force or an entity. That's irrelevant. It does have relevance if you call it an entity, because then it has a whole other set of things that you can anthropomorphize around it. But so I do that, and I authentically give thanks for like this body that I have that's 18. I don't know how old the universe is, but however old the universe is, that's how old my body is. This is, and the life in this body, like that's 4.3 billion years old. This is a 4.3 billion year. I'm 4.3 billion years old. You're 4.3 billion years old. Like, let that in. That's the beginning of what I'm talking about. That's mind blowing. That is, you are the collective. So here's the nutshell that really struck to me today, this morning. You're 4.3 billion years old as a living entity. You literally have that history embedded in every cell of your body. You are that entity. You're 4.3 billion years old. And that gives you 4.3 billion years of wisdom, of power, it's like every problem that has been faced and solved over the last 4.3 billion years, that's inside of you. That's in this body. So one of the big problems with the Middle Eastern religions, which are so prevalent in Western civilization, is the separation from body and spirit. Because the wisdom's in here. It's in this vehicle. It's only through this vehicle that you're going to find the ultimate power and peace for yourself, and that we're going to bring that out into the world. So that's the main point, and I'll quickly kind of go over the other parts of my prayer practice just so that you know it. The second thing I do is I give thanks to the individuation aspect, civilization aspect, technology, and the sun. Those are all the father elements. So I give thanks to the mother elements, and then I give thanks to the father elements. People get stuck on one side or the other. Don't get stuck on one side or the other. It's both. So, and then the next piece is what I do in the prayer is I give thanks to the brothers and the sisters in the life community, all the trees that I'm passing right now. The microbes in the plankton in the ocean, the kelp, everything that's creating the oxygen, and all of their contribution to my life, and all the other humans. And then I also give thanks to my individual ancestors. And the amazing thing to think about, if you think about it, your ancestors go like this. They just keep funneling out, and there's more and more and more and more beings that funnel directly down into you. So you don't have to have like a highfalutin spiritual belief system. If you just grasp that concept and the immensity of the funnel that came into you, you're insanely amazing. It's just like that you're here 4.3 billion years later, and 18 whatever that universe age is. That's insane. And all of the wisdom and all of the challenges that lives inside of you. So that unlocked for me this morning. Now it didn't unlock, by itself. It's been years of practice that I've been developing this, but I offer it to you to let that the enormity of what you are individually sink in, and also to realize that all of the problems, all the problems that you're facing right now, right here in your body, they've been faced before. If you tune into this thing, this body that you have, it will guide you. It's fundamentally the opposite of what most monotheistic Middle Eastern traditions tell you. But it's through this vehicle that it will all come, that you can solve any problem, that you can find the deepest wisdoms and powers. There's this idea that people adhere to, that somehow we are, that the universe is unintelligent, and that we somehow became intelligent. Okay, I gotta say hi to this guy. Hey, buddy.
What's up, man?
Just driving to work. Yeah. Not yet. Today. I'm gonna start today. Oh crap! I forgot what I needed. Oh well. I'll see you later. Oh man, I forgot my ladder. Oh well. I was all stressed out this morning. See, I didn't slow down. I needed to slow down. It's like we get the lesson handed to us over and over and over again until we learn it. But finishing up on this idea of the oneness, and that all that power lives inside of you. All those solutions live inside of you. You have it inside of you, and that it is truly a bad idea to separate the body from the spirit. It's really a bad idea. You need to live inside of both and see how they both are intertwined. So again, there's this idea that somehow we're these intelligent, conscious creatures that came out of this unintelligent, mechanistic universe. And that's just simply impossible. You can't create a conscious entity from a conscious, sentient entity from something that is completely unconscious and unsentient. It just doesn't work that way. It would be a fundamental break in the laws of physics. So the whole universe is sentient and intelligent, and you are simply one of the highest levels in complexity of that, known in our solar system, maybe not in the universe, but known here right now. You are. I recently heard it's virtually statistically impossible that there's not intelligent life in another part of the galaxy, another part of the universe. Okay, so to review, frustration, man. When you get frustrated, it's something to be grateful for. It's a signpost. It's like, okay, frustration. That means my nervous system's either overcharged, I'm facing the problem in an old repetitive way that I need to, reassess. I need some more information. I just need to pause and breathe and get back, try a new way. And then the other one is to do the contemplative or the meditative, what's the word I'm looking for? To practice emptiness. Because when you practice emptiness, and one of its many forms, facing death, practicing emptiness, identity death, not literal death. You find the true emotional courage to develop these superpowers, whether it's the various rituals that I outlined earlier. And then the last one is realizing you don't have to have a spiritual belief. It can be just rational. But realizing that you are one, you're this giant funnel you're 4.3 billion years old. And you got all that you need inside of this body. You just have to listen. You just have to get in there and be with it in silence, and it's going to reveal to you what needs to go on. Okay. I'm actually looking for someone who's willing to do a one-on-one on camera. So if you're willing to do a one-on-one on camera, we could set up a Zoom call, and I'm going to post those so that other people can get value out of them. It's something I've been thinking about for a long time. I've wanted to do, and I just haven't put it out there. I know that my particular teaching works best when we're actually interacting with each other. I'm also going to be doing a group thing. So the group thing would be something that we could do. There'll be a paid version if you want to do paid. And then there's also going to be potentially we could do a group dynamic forum that would be posted live on YouTube. And then because in a lot of ways, group groups work better than individuals. I'm just going to say, I'll try to remember to put a link in the description. If you've ever heard of the Celestine Prophecy, there's another book that was kind of about the principles that James Redfield used when he wrote that book, called the Celestine Vision. And that outlines a sort of group dynamic and energy dynamics, and it's really accurate and works really well. The model works really well for how to create an enlightened conversation. And it is literally the opposite of the stuff that you see where people are just like talking heads and bouncing over each other. It's like giving space and getting in your body. When you do a group dynamic, I know this is getting a little off for the topic. Is it valuable to say here? You decide. Click turn off if it's not valuable to say here. If you're in a group, and in that group you're working through a meeting or a topic, if you can adopt this principle of where you let the energy flow, like if you feel a rush of energy in your body, then you should speak. And if you're speaking, you've noticed this happen before. Someone's speaking and the whole energy just flattens in the room. That person has not listened inside their body, and they need to stop talking. And then whoever's facilitating needs to look around the room and see like, oh, where'd the energy shift to? And maybe ask, like, did somebody have an inspired thought at that moment? Usually it's the quietest person in the room who had an inspired thought and isn't going to say anything. So anyways, group dynamics 101. Leave comments and questions below. I hope that's been helpful. Have a wonderful day. Like, subscribe, and yeah, we're in this together. Hope to hear from you soon. Let's go make the world a better place. Ciao.